Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and welcome to your number one source for Native American television news. It's Native News Today. Alongside Gerald Wofford, I'm Jason Salzman, thanking you for joining us for this next 30 minutes. We got a great program lined up for you with a lot of great things going on in Indian country.
Absolutely. As we roll along through the month of July, we hope that your month is being safe and sound, and you got a chance to celebrate the 4th of July and have a good, safe holiday weekend. But as always, we appreciate you joining us here this afternoon for Native News Today.
Yes, and some fireworks, I guess, if you could figuratively say, on the program this week. We got a lot of great things, as we said. We've went to a lot of places. You got a chance to go up and visit with some great people and our friends up at the Tulsa City County Library. Yes. Teresa Runnels always doing a great job up there. We got some exciting news for the American Indian Resource Center up there. Also, we went to Phillbrook downtown, the new satellite space for Phillbrook Museum that's in downtown Tulsa in the Brady Arts District. They're very excited about their Native American collection that is a staple of that museum there.
Absolutely.
On the second floor. We won't just talk to you about it, we'll show you it, and we'll take you there to Phillbrook downtown if you haven't had a chance to go. So that and a lot more, and also we will have something from the archives this week. If you'll dip it into the vault a little bit.
And you know, Jason, we just, of course, wrapped up our festival last month.
Yes.
One of the staples of the festival, of course, we always talk about is the rodeo.
Oh yeah, the rodeo, and they're actually having an all-Indian rodeo just down the road a little bit in around the Beggs area, I guess. Right. If you had to say what community it was in. But it's about 9 miles south of Glenpool there, and the big Tulsa RV Ranch is what it's called, but the Tulsa RV Ranch Arena is kind of new, and it hadn't been there very long. Very nice covered arena, lots of great things out there. You're going to see just how nice of a place it is. But we stopped in there because they have an all-Indian rodeo tonight. Nice. Starts at 7 o'clock. The gates there are open at 4, so you can get in a little bit early, but it's going to be a great thing. They're expecting a big crowd. First time they've ever had it. So we're going to talk to the owner at the Tulsa RV Ranch Arena here in just a little bit about that all-Indian rodeo. He hopes to see it happening each year. So like I said, a great program lined up, and you got a chance to get out a little bit there. And Teresa, they got a new center, so always nice to visit with them.
They are really excited about it. We've done several stories on our friend Teresa Runnels, who's the director of the American Indian Resource Center, the downtown Tulsa Public Library. Well, they've got a chance now to branch out, offer more resources. In fact, you could say getting their own building now. It's a branch of the Tulsa Public Library, but in a different location. Great. So we want to let everyone know about their new location. Great
thing. So we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Native News Today.
Pumakasam gadat, ibufanga, nage, adigat, punhayadit omega, ajayididet omis.
Diosnuk, that's true. Throughout the generations, our elders have taught us to preserve, share, and more importantly, protect the abundant natural resources we have here in Oklahoma. We are the original environmentalists and protector of these resources. The Muskogee Creek Nation believes tribal and state governments must work together to ensure future generations will have clean air and clean water as the ultimate legacy. What is good for Oklahoma tribal nations is good for all Oklahomans. Remember, tribes are truly the original Oklahomans.
And welcome back to Native News Today. Jason Salzman, Gerald Wofford. You know, Jason, it's always great to visit the museums in the area, especially when they are promoting authentic Native American art.
And no museum really does that anywhere in the country almost better than Phillbrook Museum in Tulsa. And now they have a new satellite space, Phillbrook downtown, right there in the Brady Arts District, and they're very proud of it. But the expansive Native American art collection, you know, that's the reason that facilitated the move and the new space. Basically, they got more than they can hold at the Midtown facility. So, you know,
Good
with that in
problem.
mind, yeah, absolutely, great problem to have. So they contacted us, wanted us to come up. Definitely not going to, you know, miss the opportunity to do that. Take the folks on a little bit of a guided tour, video-wise, through that new space there. Very beautiful. They opened it June the 14th, and a lot of people there in the downtown area excited about Phillbrook downtown. And that's why Native News Today went up, checked it out. We're here at Phillbrook Museum Satellite Space in downtown Tulsa at the Brady Arts District. And this space was created to hold an expansive collection of Native American art that they couldn't currently hold at their facility in Midtown Tulsa. Now, it opened on June 14th to the public, but if you haven't had a chance to come here yet, we're going to take a look inside at what's going on the second floor at Phillbrook downtown. Christina Burke is the curator of Native American art at Phillbrook downtown. Her and the organization are excited to show the world the great collection they have on display at this brand new facility.
Phillbrook is thrilled to open Phillbrook Downtown, our new satellite facility in the Brady Arts District, downtown Tulsa, because it gives us a chance to expand what we can share from our Native American collection with the community. Native American art is the largest portion of the museum's collection. Over half of the museum's holdings is art by Native people. And we've actually been collecting for over 75 years, since the beginning of Phillbrook as a museum. Native art has been an important part of it. In 2007, with the acquisition of the Eugene B. Adkins collection with the Fred Jones Jr. Museum of Art at OU, we really needed more space to be able to share this collection with our community. So this facility, Phillbrook Downtown, allows us to do that.
Burke also talked about the depth of some of the art and how versatile each piece can be.
I think a lot of the artwork here, even though it might look traditional, so to speak, it certainly was contemporary art when it was made. And what this exhibition does is really look at the motivations of the artists themselves. What were they trying to say with their creations? Whether a piece was made about 1900 or 2012, just last year.
She also discussed with us the layout of the collection and how diverse it is.
Well, the exhibition is thematically based, and again, looking at the motivation of the artists themselves, whether they were looking to preserve tribal traditions with their creations, adapting to new materials and new markets, innovating new forms and designs, or integrating non-traditional art movements and social commentary. And I think there'll be some things that really surprise people here. Some very contemporary art, abstract paintings, for instance, mixed media pieces, and images of Native people you might not expect.
Burke also gave us some insight into her creative process when laying out the project.
Well, this opportunity to expand the exhibition space for Phillbrook was incredibly exciting for me. It really gave me a chance to research the Phillbrook's permanent collection and the Adkins material, and was incredibly exciting to share with people things that may never have been on exhibit before, as well as bringing out some old favorites. Some traditional artwork like our Dotsalali basket. Louisa Kaiser, who was a Washoe basket weaver, lived around the turn of the last century, and even during her lifetime was very well known, and her work commanded very high prices. We have a basket by her that's very famous and has not been on exhibit for years. I've actually been saving it up to share it with people in this new space. But there's also some recent acquisitions by contemporary Native artists. For instance, Jason Garcia, who's from Santa Clara Pueblo in New Mexico, who does graphic novel style painted tiles. So he's a ceramic artist, but he uses very contemporary styles, comic book covers in his work. So again, some unexpected pieces by contemporary Native artists.
Not many museums can boast the diverse appeal of Phillbrook, a fact that they are extremely proud of.
Phillbrook's collection, overall, we're a world art museum, so we literally have artwork from Africa, from Asia, from throughout Europe, from throughout America, and of course Native American art being our largest single portion of the collection. And the new space in Phillbrook downtown, I think we are reaching new audiences and speaking to the diversity of the Tulsa community and our region with that artwork.
In Tulsa at Phillbrook downtown, I'm Jason Salzman, Native News Today.
Well, Indian Rodeo certainly making its mark in northeastern Oklahoma and as well as the region. Last month, the Creek Nation Festival holding their 40th annual Creek Nation Rodeo. But Indian Rodeo making its mark a little bit down the road now.
Yeah, and exactly. We you know, you can't miss down 75 in between Tulsa, Altmauge, you cannot miss the big Tulsa RV Ranch. I mean, it's a new spot there relatively, and they have a lot of events going on out there. But for the first time ever, they're going to be holding an all-Indian rodeo tonight. And so we definitely had to, pop in there and ask Pete Madison, the owner, about bringing the all-Indian rodeo and everything that comes with that to the Tulsa RV Ranch Arena. Beautiful arena covered there, and it's got a lot of things going on. A restaurant there, there's a saloon there. It's just an old west type of feel. It's a really great place for a rodeo. They're excited for their very first all-Indian rodeo there. They're going to have Indian arts and crafts, Indian band, so everybody come out, and that's why we had to stop in. The Tulsa RV Ranch Arena will be the spot for Indian rodeo fans tonight, as it hosts an all-Indian rodeo beginning at 7 p.m. Owner Pete Madison is looking forward to hosting this big event.
We're very excited. We have the all-Indian rodeo coming up at 7 o'clock this Saturday night. Gates open at 4. It's only $8 to get in. Kids under 12 are free. We're looking forward to having a nice crowd. We have a lot of vendors showing up with Indian crafts, and the restaurant and the saloon will be open before it and after it. We have some special Indian food we're preparing for Indian tacos and things for the event.
Although it will be the first go-around for the arena to host an all-Indian event, they're certainly appreciative of the tribal influence that they've received.
This is the first Indian rodeo we've had. We're brand new. The roof has only been up for a couple of months, and we're real excited about having the rodeo for the Indian rodeo. We have the Duck Creek Casino right next door. The Creek Nation has been very supportive of helping us get people here, and we're happy to have all the other tribes as well to come and participate in this rodeo this weekend.
Madison also hopes that the All-Indian Rodeo can be a regular calendar occurrence at the Tulsa RV Ranch Arena.
We would like this to be our first annual event, and some of the other events we've already held here, I've already rebooked for next year with the facilities that we have, and there's RV parks next door, so people come and they spend the night. There's a lot of activities by doing the restaurant, the saloon, the casino next door, the campground. It's a full service resort.
All right, hope to see a lot of people out at the All-Indian Rodeo, and you still got time to get out there. Doors open at 4, and the rodeo get kicked off at 7 o'clock. So, segueing into our next piece, Gerald actually traveled up the old highway there to Tulsa this last week, see an old friend of ours, not old in age, but we've known her for a few years, and she's been a very good friend of this program, Teresa Runnels, the American Indian Resource Center at Tulsa City County Library. They are very excited, Gerald, about a new space that they got.
Absolutely. They're over on West 51st Street, moved from their downtown location. A lot of great things they do throughout the year. Teresa Runnels always making that program so special. American Indian Resource Center now located over there. Got a chance to talk with her. Just a beautiful building there. The building's actually been there for quite a while, but just an opportunity for her just to provide more services and everything, and that's what she's certainly excited about. We got a chance to talk with her. I'm going to share this with you right now.
My name is Teresa Runnels. I'm an American Indian Resource Center coordinator at the Tulsa City County Library. We've moved to a new location. We are now at the Zero Regional Library at 2224 West 51st Street in Tulsa. We arrived here in the middle of May, and so we're still trying to get organized and get things set up, but we're very excited to be here. We still have programs in the summer reading program. We do programs at various library locations that have a higher Indian population in their area. So we're continuing that as well. The Circle of Honor will be held the first weekend in March, and it will be at the Hardesty Regional Library in the Connors Cove Theater. We'll still have the awards program. We still have a month-long Festival of Words. There'll be programs throughout the system as well as here at Zero. We're continuing on the old programs, and we're doing new programs as well. Actually, we're working with the Osage Nation, their language department. We will be starting language classes out here. They're wanting to bring them into Tulsa, and we're hoping to get other language programs back in the library as well. We have started a cultural garden out here, and we have pumpkins growing, and everybody comes to check on them. We have a teen center here, so I'm trying to figure out how I can tap into that group of the population. We have a children's story hour here, and I think I'm going to start tapping into that, reading to the children once a month, and then maybe trying to invite in special guests to come and read. So there's a lot of endless possibilities. The programming is all the same. We're just trying to add a few more things in. The Tulsa City County Library and the Tulsa Library Trust back this program. They believe in this program, and so without them, programming would not be possible. And even the American Indian Resource Center. So I really appreciate all the support that they give. The American Indian Resource Center is located at 2224 West 51st Street in West Tulsa. People can still contact me at 918-549-7472. On August 30th, I believe, the Central Library will be closing down for 2 years for renovations. They will be going to a temporary location on 15th and Denver called the Librarium. It's the old Homeland building, so they will be there for 2 years. And then after 2 years, Central will open back up, and then we'll just see what happens.
Well, from time to time, we always like to go into our archive locker, if you will, and uncase those special treasures we got.
Well, you know, in the words of Gerald Wofford, you know, many times he says, Jace, we've got all this footage. We've got such a built-up catalog of stuff that we've done over the last 5+ years, 6+ years. Now we're dating ourselves, but we've got all this stuff, you know. Let's let the people see what we've done before. It doesn't always have to be something, you know, late breaking in news. So definitely take them to the archive, you know, look in that old scrapbook, some things that we've done in the past. We're certainly proud of all the things, but one of these is very important to us because it enhances some art and some culture all mixed together. Shell carving, Muskogee Creek shell carving, and they actually had a series on this that came to the college here. So we, you know, we're happy to be a part of it then, happy to show it to you now so that this stuff doesn't die off.
Okay, before we start on our next project, I want to talk to you about some shells. I want to go over a lot of do's and don'ts, okay? And don't never carve inside of your house, and especially if you have children. When I was young, my daughter, when she was 4 years old, she's 25 now, but when she was 4, I was carving in the basement of the house. I was carving a deer antler, bone, and ivory, and Sarah came down with respiratory infection, and I got real sick. I had been carving some alligator leg bones, and I hadn't sterilized the bone. And it liked to have killed me. I was in the hospital for 10 days, and they did 2 spinal taps on me to see what kind of a bacteria I had picked up. But anytime that you're carving bone, make sure it's been sterilized. Don't pick up no roadkill and just start carving it. That's not smart. But the best way to get bone is if you want to carve a beef bone or cut some bone pins, go to a pet store. All those bones have been sterilized real well. But if you have a certain bone that you want to do, like a bear or a deer, just make sure you've sterilized that bone really well before you go to carving it. And in these shells, this is a little purple river mussel. You see the skin on the back side of this shell. This is like a neurotoxin. You don't want to breathe this material. Anytime we grind it, we use a diamond wet saw. Around the turn of the century, there were some chemists and some marine biologists have gotten together, and they were going to try and come up with a paint that they could paint the bottom of boats with, that barnacles wouldn't attach yourself to, and this is the material that they started to use. But today they use more of a synthetic material instead of the skin off the back of a mussel. When you place this shell in the water, a barnacle will attach itself to the shell, but not attach itself to this skin. Out of all these mussels, oysters, and clams. And this is the pink river mussel, and it's a softer shell. Your freshwater shells are softer than a saltwater shell. And these are perfect shells to start off with, but do not grind this down and breed this material. Use the right equipment. Use a wet diamond saw and a diamond grinder to polish this with. And then here is one of the most favorite shell that was used by the Aztec and by the Pueblo people. This is a spiny oyster. See all the spines on the back of this oyster here. All the colors always on the back of your bivalves, okay? Now here it is polished. Look at the beautiful color that's on that piece. That's the spiny oyster. This is a Pacific shell. It comes from the Pacific coast.
Dan, on that fresh water, how do you know what part of that shell is hard?
Well, another way, when you're looking at the shells, you want to hold them up to a light and make sure there's no fractures in the shell, or what I call a blister. Sometimes a shell will have a blister in it, and that blister will be a hollow place inside the shell. So you want to study the shell and make sure that you're cutting a good. What I'll do at home is I'll grade the shells out. I'll have a A pile, a B and C, D pile. But the quality stuff for special pieces, and then I'll just work it down from there. But you always want to inspect the shell, make sure there's no bad places in it, like a fracture or a blister. Sometimes a piece of organic material will get between the animal and the shell, and there'll become a blister on it. And in the pearl industry, they call that a made pearl. It's a pearl blister, is what you'll see on that shell. The chemical composition of a shell is calcium carbonate. And any of your pearl oysters or river mussels, what you have is the nacre. Now there's nacre in this shell. There's nacre in the gold mother of pearl shell. And it's the nacre that makes the pearl. And nacre is nature's epoxy, okay? That's what nacre is, and that's what a pearl's made from. The nucleus of these oysters here come from the pearl farms in the South Pacific. The nucleus of all those pearls come from the Tennessee River. It comes from the washboard mussel. There's a little shell seed that's inserted into this oyster, and then that pearl starts to grow. It starts to add nacre to that shell bead. But the nucleus of all your cultured pearls is a shell that comes from the Tennessee River. It's the washboard mussel is what is used in the cultured pearl industry. But in prepping the shell to get it to this stage, this is what it looks like. It's covered with all this bark. You have to remove all this bark off of this shell, and this is a neurotoxin. You don't want to breathe this material at all. But this is the largest of the mother of pearls. This mother of pearl will get 20 inches in diameter. It'll produce a gold pearl, and at times they'll seed an oyster with 35 pearls at a time. And in the Orient, they'll even carve a little Buddha out of a seashell and insert it into the oyster, and that Buddha will become pearlized. It'll be a pearl Buddha. But out of all the shells, this is one of my favorites. This is the black mother of pearl. This oyster comes from Tahiti. This is the oyster that produces the black pearl. But I've polished half of this so you'll see what it looks like.
And we hope that you enjoyed another Native News today here. As we always say, Mado, Wado for joining us here this afternoon. We hope that you're staying cool on this very hot summer afternoon. We're always cool here in the studio, Gerald, and hopefully that means you are out there too. I know it's kind of hard, you know, triple digits this week. Come on, you know, we need a break. Well, summer's here, you know, and it is time of that. You know, talking about this summer, of course, one of the annual things is the movie releases, the summer blockbusters. And Jason, I don't know if you had an opportunity yet or not, but of course, last week was the debut of a movie with the Native American connections, and we're talking about The Lone Ranger. Well, everybody's talking about The Lone Ranger. I haven't had a chance to go see it, but you did actually. Can you give us kind of a, I guess, a Cliff's Notes version of what you thought? I mean, well, a movie review will be coming out in our Muskogee Nation News, which of course we want to talk about our newspaper as well. Shameless plug. And our radio program as well. But yes, I did, Jason. And the majority of mainstream America, if you will, and the Native American population is labeling this as a flop. Well, yeah, and it's controversial, I guess you could say. Not saying I'm just following that as well, but I have to agree in a sense. There is the Native American connection where, of course, Depp's lineage was always in question as far as what tribe, and of course the Comanche tribe adopting him, which of course the character Tonto was Comanche in the movie. That, I believe, just really didn't help his cause as much as his portrayal of Tonto. of course, dating back to the 1950 and the early 40s TV show, The Lone Ranger, and Jay Silverhill, of course, playing the first Tonto in that. And the stereotype of the broken English Indian, of course, got a lot of momentum from that. I felt that depth that he wanted, and he said that at the beginning, before making the film, presenting a Native American character with dignity and
different than it's always been portrayed.
Yeah, I felt
that was
what could have helped.
Yeah.
Is that he could have just let Tonto just speak just the modern day English of that time.
So what would have been better was if he would have spoke Comanche and they would have subtitled him the whole way. That would have been great. But I think when we talk about that and the whole controversy of the portrayal of natives, and that will be something that has been talked about for years and will be talked about for years. There's just no getting around it. But when I was asking you, I was like, take all that out of it. Take every bit of that out of it. Let's just act like Tonto wasn't even in the movie. No Native American aspect whatsoever. And you said it'd still just be a bad movie. I mean, it was...
Absolutely. The pacing of it, the timing of the characters was in question. No development as the storyline went along. Just as soon as you started getting into perhaps a scene or an act of the movie, it was a quick change. The editing was really off. I mean, one minute the Lone Ranger was there standing with a gun, confronting the villain. The next scene, he's riding the horse down the desert.
Goodness gracious.
Supposedly the scene, of course, was in Texas, but it was shot in Utah and Colorado, and these scenes, you don't see that in Texas. Just one other historical note on that too, Jason, when they're confronting the enemy, Butch Cavendish, which is like to Lone Ranger, Lex Luthor, to Superman.
Yeah, you're right.
They're talking about all the terrible deeds he's done, but they mentioned that Oklahoma didn't have a long enough rope to hang him.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is 1869 Texas.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Texas, I think our history people will know out there.
Right.
The name and the title Oklahoma wasn't even a wink in the eye.
No, it was not. No, it was not. It was Indian territory, I believe.
Anyway, you got my movie review going here. I'm just
I was going to say, this is Native News Today. It's not Ebert and Roper at the movies, so let's pull those reins back. No,
it's not Harjo and Bushyhead at the movies.
You got it. It's a... Don't take Gerald's word for it, though. Go see it. I mean, form your own opinions, and so we'll keep
But if you have a friend that will pay for your admission, you can save your money.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Native News Today. And like I said, sometimes Native American news takes us into discussions on films like that. And we certainly love having a healthy conversation about it. And we hope that you do out there too, because regardless, people are talking about Native portrayal, and it's a conversation that's been started. So if we could take one thing, away from it that is a positive, that is very much a positive, because if we're talking about it, that means people are paying attention to it, and that's all we could ask for. So great episode here at Native News Today. Love having you join us on the program here, and if you can't, always catch us online. The Muskogee homepage, you can find out all the information about Native News Today there. Just search around and look for us, and Facebook and Twitter, as always, we're right there at your fingertips.
Absolutely. For our producer, Jared Moore, and all those that make Native News Today so great. In the meantime, you all take care. God bless.
And we'll see you soon.